What's your thesis as we enter the new year about how these stocks will behave differently or the same as last year?
Well, we're pretty bullish. We're very bullish. What you're seeing near term is that some of the memory stocks and semi-cap equipment are really seeing a squeeze, a rush to buy. And I do think that our large cap companies like Nvidia and Broadcom will still do very well. Those remain top pick. And then some of the more volatile names like an Intel and Marvell could play some catch up. Intel had a good year last year. I think that continues. But in general, we're very bullish. You had a prior guest on about where we are in the cycle. I still think we're early. Everybody wants to compare it to the internet. This thing's going to chart its own path, but it should be bigger than a lot of the naysayers think, in our opinion.
You think Intel's part of the story here? I mean, and yes, you mentioned last year, certainly good vibes. The administration, they raised a lot of capital. They had a lot of very high profile and powerful supporters. But what about the fundamental business?
Yeah, I mean, there's names like Nvidia that might be a little bit safer because Nvidia's gotten all the supply they need to crush numbers, in our opinion, versus other names, where Intel's a little bit more of a speculative name where it's not trading as much on earnings. What I think is going on there is Nvidia is a great shareholder. They're going to help them. The Trump administration is going to help them. And I think that that's really going to be, as we go throughout 26, we'll hear more good news about their future foundry prospects. They have great packaging assets that are underappreciated. And then I think that they have a process in 28 and 29 called 14A. It's a node in their foundry. And I think that you'll find more folks like Nvidia and Apple are taking a harder look at that. And that helps the book value creep up for a name like that.
Coming out of CES, Ben, I want to get your take on Nvidia. You know, I talk a lot, I know you do as well, as cost per token per dollar per watt, to quote Satya Nadella, certainly when I've heard him talk about it. This new Vera Rubin chip, what is it going to mean in terms of the competition between the likes of OpenAI, where that cost is higher than for Google, for example, with its TPUs?
Yeah, great question. We wrote a little bit about it today. We put out our chart of the week. And we talk about tokens per watt, and NVIDIA is really, this Vera Rubin chip is going to be 1/10 the cost of Blackwell. And you're going to start to see a lot of next-gen models actually come out that are trained on Blackwell this first half of the year that are going to really be competitive with Gemini, if not pass it. And then when Vera Rubin comes out, you're going to hear a lot more about how that makes some of their customers other than Google very much more competitive, like OpenAI. And I think token economics is everything. While NVIDIA has the highest upfront price, the tokens per dollar per watt, which you said, is going to take a big leap forward again with their Vera Rubin chip. And that's really the key, with power being the constraint. You have to get as many tokens for inference out that you can per square foot. And that is the key right now. And NVIDIA is going to have it.
Does this reinforce the notion then, Ben, that we may not need as much power as we think? Or does it only mean that we're just going to have even more in terms of you're going to need all the power you can get, you're just going to get more compute out of it?
That's the latter, David. Power is still going to be something we're going to be talking about. Data center delays, workers, the combination of data center delays, workers, and power, and the grid is not going to stop. I think the big thing, David, is just that inference is much bigger than expected. We're going to have these AI agents this year doing stuff in the background, and they're going to ping a lot of compute. So there's going to be a lot of things going on in the background due to autonomous AI agents that you don't see. But while you're sleeping, a lot of work's going to get done, and that's going to eat a lot of compute, David. And NVIDIA should win, and as well as many others. Right now, the memory guys are surging, maybe taking a break today. We'll see. I'm pretty bullish, David. I think we're still early.
Following rumors that over 2 million of NVIDIA's H200 chips had been ordered by Chinese IT businesses, the company's stock increased by almost 2% on Wednesday. As traders reevaluated the profit potential from China's reopened market, NVIDIA maintained its gains. The action is a reflection of the Treasury Department's increasing confidence that the licensing applications, which are now under progress, could result in significant short-term revenue. The $40 billion estimate can be calculated simply: 2 million H200 units, each costing $27,000, less the 25% export tax that NVIDIA is required to pay to the U.S. government. However, It's important to remember that orders do not equate to shipped income. The imports must be officially approved by China, U.S. licenses must pass final processing, and Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company's production capacity must ramp up as scheduled. With a goal of delivering more units before the Lunar New Year in mid-February, Nvidia and TSMC have already signed a contract to increase H200 manufacture in the second quarter. What the $40 billion figure actually implies for Nvidia stock investors should be aware of the conditions, even when the headline math is convincing. Chinese companies, such as ByteDance, Alibaba, and Tencent, have already indicated their intention to buy 2 million units, according to Reuters reporting. However, real sales are contingent upon 3 factors. First, the acceptance of the final U.S. export license is still pending. Second, Beijing has not yet officially approved imports. And third, TSMC's capacity to increase foreign Nvidia's production in a matter of months. At CES 2026 this week, CEO Jensen Huang purposefully toned down expectations by saying he anticipates neither government will make an official declaration and that purchase orders will be the sole trustworthy indicator of success. There is a lot of demand from customers. It's pretty high. Huang stated that although it is quite high, Nvidia does not anticipate any significant announcements or press releases. Given that Beijing has influence over Chinese consumer behavior and Washington controls the licenses, this prudence reflects the political sensitivity. History is important in this case as well. Last summer, Nvidia's H20 chip was approved for export, but Beijing subtly dissuaded it, leaving inventory stuck. This experience explains why, despite its optimistic pricing, the market is hedging its bets. Can improvements be sustained via orders, approvals, and production? According to Huang, Nvidia's supply chain has been activated, and H200s are currently passing through manufacturing pipelines. Regulators on both sides of the Pacific now hold the actual bottleneck. The U.S. Treasury is working frantically to finalize permits, and Treasury sources tell Reuters that clearance is nearing completion. Nvidia has indicated a possible mid-February launch date, although it is contingent upon approvals being granted on time. In their models, the analyst community has mostly disregarded this driver. Few forecasts have factored in the $40 billion China scenario, despite Wall Street's average estimates for fiscal 2027 revenue standing at $320 billion, roughly double current year expectations. According to a Motley Fool research, top-line growth could increase to 69%, or almost $360 billion, if the business does unleash full H200 demand. Even with Nvidia's current projected price-to-sales ratio of 21x, that calculation alone might justify far higher prices. According to Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang, the company is experiencing very high customer demand in China for its H200 AI processors, which the U.S. government recently indicated it might authorize for export. Huang made this statement on Tuesday. Nvidia has resumed manufacturing the chips and is finalizing the terms of export licenses with the U.S. government, Huang stated. For businesses creating artificial intelligence models, Nvidia's chips are essential. At a press briefing at the CES convention in Las Vegas, Huang stated, "We've fired up our supply chain, and H200s are flowing through the line." As Chinese IT businesses create their own AI models, investors view the Chinese market as a huge opportunity for Nvidia. According to Huang, the market might be worth $50 billion annually, but Nvidia's projections do not account for any of those sales. President Donald Trump stated in December that Nvidia might sell its H200 processor to China, provided it gave the U.S. government a quarter of the sales. Although the H200 is a generation or two behind the most recent Nvidia models, it has not been intentionally slowed down to meet export regulations, in contrast to earlier chips that Nvidia was permitted to export to China. Join our investor community. Hit subscribe and like to get your daily Nvidia stock insights and tutorials delivered. The import of Nvidia chips must also be authorized by China. Huang stated on Tuesday that Nvidia will be aware of the regulatory status once purchase orders arrive, and that he does not anticipate China announcing that imports have been authorized. According to Huang, "We don't anticipate any significant announcements or press releases. Purchase orders will be the only thing involved." Any H200 sales, Huang continued, would supplement the company's $500 billion two-year projection from the previous year. Huang stated, it looks like we're going back to China. In an effort to make a name for itself in the AI space, China's Lenovo, the biggest personal computer manufacturer in the world, announced on Tuesday that it has partnered with Nvidia, the leader in AI chips in the US, to assist AI cloud providers in rapidly launching data centers. At the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, in Las Vegas, the technology company, which also manufactures servers, made the news while displaying an AI platform, concept gadgets, and the first foldable smartphone under its Motorola brand. Lenovo said that as part of the data center program, it will help AI cloud providers cut deployment times to weeks by providing its liquid-cooled hybrid AI infrastructure in addition to Nvidia's processing platforms. In a speech alongside Nvidia counterpart Jensen Huang, Lenovo CEO Yang Yuanqing stated that the Lenovo AI Cloud Gigafactory with Nvidia establishes a new standard for scalable AI factory design, enabling the deployment of the most cutting-edge AI settings in record-breaking time. Yang also introduced Kira, a personal AI system that can operate in the background on Lenovo and Motorola PCs, phones, tablets, and wearables. According to Lenovo, the system will also be able to offer services from companies like the travel agency Expedia. Lenovo also demonstrated a wearable AI assistant gadget it is creating under Project Maxwell that will provide the wearer with real-time assistance, as well as concept AI glasses, joining Alibaba and Samsung Electronics in the industry. Will the robots arrive? Jensen Huang is certain of it. When I asked him when robots would be able to perform tasks on par with humans, he said this year, "Because I am aware of how quickly technology is developing." He said, "You're going to see some pretty amazing things." The CEO of Nvidia, who may be the most influential person in the world of technology, is not by himself. Many in the tech industry believe that AI is prepared to leave the screen and venture into the real world. There are robots everywhere you look at the largest tech convention in the world, the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, robotic vacuum cleaners, robotic lawnmowers, robots that farm. There are also a ton of humanoid robots, which may be either cool or eerie depending on your perspective. It can be a curse to be the CES big trend. Numerous technologies that were highly anticipated at the annual tech exhibition have fallen short of expectations. Furthermore, it is difficult to compare the unrestrained optimism of people like Huang with the reality of dealing with these robots. Many of the robots at CES are so simple that they aren't truly robots at all, at least not in the sense of being autonomous. Someone with a remote control comes over to take over as soon as something gets even somewhat complicated. They are therefore not much better than a very costly toy. However, there is already a strong, real-world example of a robot that has passed what is sometimes referred to as the physical Turing test, or the point at which it is impossible to distinguish between a human and a machine, so the enthusiasm surrounding robotics isn't simply hype. In 2026, self-driving cars will be introduced in London. They are currently cruising the streets of a number of U.S. towns, including those surrounding CES. Even though roads are a more controlled environment, there is still a great chance of making a mistake because they are so chaotic. It is believed that robots should be prepared for almost everything if they can manage that circumstance. That example, along with the expansion of generative AI's capabilities, is largely responsible for the excitement around robotics in the IT industry. We can implant our brains into the robots. They believe that you can essentially give the robot a generative AI brain if you can get the AI model to operate on the device. According to Rev Leberidian, Vice President of Omniverse and Simulation Technology at Nvidia, we finally have the core ingredient to build the missing piece of robots, which was the robot brain. After we were able to accomplish that, it became logical to construct the robot bodies since we had the brain to install inside of them. As the methods that allowed AI to read, write, and speak appear to translate to physical interaction, the movement of those robot bodies is also rapidly improving. Many people believe that the fundamental technical problems in robotics have finally been solved. According to Leberidian, I think everyone in this industry, who is on the cutting edge of this research, believes we now have the basic ingredients to build everything we need for the kinds of robots we've been imagining. Jobs will be created by robots. Most people agree that the home is currently too advanced for robots. Customers are too cost-conscious, it's too dirty, and it could be deadly. Instead, Industry is the main emphasis for businesses like Boston Dynamics, which is perhaps the top robotics company in the world. According to Robert Plater, CEO of Boston Dynamics, we believe you need to start on industry first. We predict that robots will be used in factories by 2028 or 2030, and it will likely take 5 years for them to be reasonably priced and available in homes. Similar to roadways, factories are mostly controlled spaces with well-defined objectives. Thus, the attraction for tech companies is evident. Naturally, the workers at those factories will be concerned about their jobs. I asked Huang if he was worried about that. Robots will create jobs, he said. There is a global labor shortage of tens of millions of people, not just 1 or 2,000. And the population decline will make it worse. Therefore, we need more, if you will, AI immigrants to assist us on the production floors and perform tasks that we may have opted to stop doing. Boston Dynamics Player concurs. What we've observed when we actually use robots with our clients, we have a robot that unloads trailers, for instance. People will go to another job in the warehouse because they are glad to leave that one. The robot will be operated by them. The robot is now operated by the same individuals who were unloading the trailer. I believe there's a great chance to let the robots handle the riskiest and dirtiest tasks. Of course, nobody knows for certain. However, if robots advance as anticipated by the tech sector, we may soon find out. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve.